man ju shi ye, namo zo shi ye, namo do namo shi ye zo. Je dang zo ge chu na la, jang chu ba do dan de ge zo ji, da ge shi zo ji be chu na ge, do la be jen sang ge ru ba jo. Je dang zo ge chu na la, jang chu ba do dan de ge zo ji, da ge shi ye ji be chu na ge, do la be jen sang ge ru ba jo. Je dang zo ge chu na la, jang chu ba do dan de ge zo ji, da ge shi ye ji be chu na ge, do la be jen sang ge ru ba jo. Sa xie bi xi xiu xie me zhou zhang, xue ra le xie li de qian ba di, sang qi xi de me de mo a ye, zhou gui nang da xi la zhe ba xu, ye dang gu ru ran na men da la gang di ya da ya li. Ali na na chi du de ka da ga chi de wen na si de da pa da chi ni na ni ka din chen sa da ni na de ba si na shi da ni chen ni de je ma ni de wa de da ma de ko chi ni de wen da ki ni wa de ka pi ji ni de de je ma ni na de wa de 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 wa pi so da de ni chen de ma chi de ma da ga sa de chen ni la ma la chi ni da so de ni da chi ni la ni.
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings do not want happiness, do not want suffering. So even though all mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, however, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, they do not experience happiness even for a moment, but only suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment. Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor as inherently different. Thus, is empty of inherent existence. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings. So the outline is expressing the assertions of mind-only school. So under this outline is next two lines of verse 15. Say, if even a mistaken consciousness does not exist, then one should observe the illusion. 친한기 최로 친한기 최 때문에 다보 대바 메바 최탐지 대유나 네 대장신 So this next two lines of verse 15 say, if even a mistaken consciousness does not exist, then what would observe the illusion? So the commentary, then we refer to the explanation in the commentary. So you say, so my only proponent, if in case all phenomena lack inherent existence, if even the mistaken consciousness holding to an illusion does not exist, then what mind will observe the illusion? Since there will not be any, even the illusion will not exist. This is a dispute in which one thinks that if this even exists, then it must exist inherently. This is said by middle way proponent. So then we come to look at mind-only proponents. Their assertions is, so their root assertions is, things or phenomena, if phenomena exist, if phenomena exist, they must exist inherently. If phenomena do not exist inherently, they do not exist at all. They utterly do not exist at all. So this is the root assertions of mind-only school. So I repeat, if phenomena exist, they must exist inherently. If they do not exist inherently, they do not exist at all, or they utterly do not exist at all. So this is their root assertion. So then here it says that, yeah. So in case all phenomena lack inherent existence, if even a mistaken consciousness holding to an illusion does not exist, then what mind will observe the illusion? So, yeah. So a phenomena that exists externally are 공다기실라 심전바이나 대한 친한기 추 데메 규마다부 키엘랭기오 말와 데마 요바데 키엘랭기오로 데 규와다부 데 데마 메바데 키엘랭기오 말와 친한기 추에나 데 장신이 요바 데마 두바데 데 키엘랭기오로 yeah. So for my only proponent, so those 데바투바 데켈랭교라 수소기 최요 신앙기 최대죠 데바 메바 데켈랭교 말이스 yeah. So for my only school, so those phenomena that appears externally, so phenomena such as form, so they assert these phenomena as truly existent. So for my only proponent, so they assert phenomena that appears externally, such as form, as truly existent. So they do not assert that those phenomena such as form as non-truly existent, non-truly existent or illusion-like. So then, yeah. So yeah. So those object, you 규마다보로 유 규마다보 유된 소대 규마다보로 하실라 유된 소니 기 규마다보로 소소 유된 소니 기 규마다보 제 진배 시바데로 진비 시바데 시바데 다들 시바데 덴버 여보 마이나 할 그래서 유드마다만 지비 시바 요로와 다음에 시바 잔디고와 이제 덴버 두바 메바이나 덴버 두바 메바이나 주소 시로지 최단지 주마다베 지게 시바 수요레다 시바도 강기 주마다만 지비 미그리스 유제 시바도 좀 와스 유제 시바도 메서디 주마는 바차 주소 that's all. Yeah, sorry. So in case all phenomena lack inherent resistance, so my only proponent, they accept that all phenomena exist inherently, right? So if phenomena exist, then they must exist inherently. So in case if all phenomena lack inherent resistance, if even mistaken consciousness holding to an illusion does not exist, so for my only schools, so those consciousnesses that apprehend those external objects such as form. So those consciousness exist truly. So for my only school, they assert that. So those consciousnesses that apprehends those external objects such as form as truly existent. So if that consciousness doesn't exist truly, then that consciousness that apprehends the object would be non-existent. If the consciousness that apprehends the object doesn't exist, then that object, such as form, wouldn't exist as well. So this is a proponent, my only proponents, their arguments. Then middle way proponents, then they reply that this is a dispute in which one thinks that if this even exists, so if phenomena exist, then it must exist inherently. So middle way proponents say to my only school, so this is the dispute in which this is a dispute of those who think that if phenomena exist, then they must exist inherently. Sorry. Next outline is similar debate. So under this outline, our next first two lines of verse 60. If the illusion itself does not exist for you, then what would be observed at that time?
내 취지로라 생각과 전화로라 내 수소 때는 내가 그래서 때는 내가 그래서 와 수소 때는 내가 지스나 내 수소 안다 주마타바 zuja tendo na jumataba neba changda jumataba yomade jumataba yomala warada wa jumataba da zu jumataba na ta miji sheba yomares ta miji sheba yomare wa miji chela ko jumataba wa debatuna de chasalo wa no da tuna da tendo me yomares yomare la wa no da tuna wa demari demba maduna
so 有点做样的对面对的差的是对面这个西班牙的样没法差的是
최다나 다 때문에 고치다 최다나 때문에 좀 와서 데모가 너한테 말나 장기지 매버래 장기지 매나 때문에 좀 그래 다 알아 장기지 매나 얼마 돈 줘다 너한테 말나 장기지 매버래 와 장기지 매버래 그 장기지 매버이나 그 최다나 때문에 매버 좀 그래 좀 아슬로다 된주고라 그 소자 다들 시에서 소자 나와 좀 왔다 보니 내나 그 데이트 zoa deeds tikiti tikimidi zudala sa nzije me ko to lasa nzije kama nzije sheba ya na logoro ko de ta niga jiba paja yula paja yije niga la pa ko demba to ko mena wa demba to ko mena te me ba chalo re sa ta ko choba choba ta lo ko ba
Seems some by na dan jury return de yo maris any de ini de nang gi nang shi na de ba tu ba de do gi orwa any de uma be any de sin ba la de shi gi ores any su su jury return to nang wa den zo any de nang wa nang xing tu na any de jury return de yo ba de tu gi ores any de kyang gi lu la any an su su nang wa nang xing de ma tu wa na su su de den ba ma tu ba de cha res de den ba ma tu ba de cha wa na de yu den zo any den tu me ba de cha res ini ada you tend to me baca wai na de miji ki sheba yani me ba curious you de me baca wai na de you jin de me baca ro So if the appearance of the apprehended object as an external object is established just as it appears for you, mind only proponent. So here is the middle way proponent saying to a mind only proponent. Then since external objects exist, the illusory and the observer of it will not exist. If it is not established just as it appears, then since it lacks inherent existence, according to you, it must be utterly non-existent. If even the illusion-like appearance as the apprehended object itself doesn't exist, then what apprehended object is observed at that time? Even apprehenders of forms, sounds, and so forth will not exist. So in this sentence, in this paragraph, so it talks. So is the my only school is saying to middle way school is saying to my only school. So my only school. So you assert that there is no external object, and you assert that those internal consciousnesses are truly existent. So these are the assertions of mind only school. So they assert that there is no external object, and those internal consciousnesses or main or primary consciousnesses, they are truly existent. So then Umaba said to middle way school then say to mind only school. So if those external objects such as form are established as it appears, then those external objects are established as existent. So I repeat. So this is the first point. Middle way say to mind only. So if those external objects are established as it appears, then those external objects are established as existent. So if you, the second one is, if you say that those external objects are not established as they appear, then those external objects are non-truly existent. So those external objects, such as form, they wouldn't be truly existent. So if those external objects, such as form, are not truly existent, then to you, those external objects are utterly non-existent. So if those objects are utterly non-existent, then the consciousness that observe those external objects, such as form, wouldn't exist as well. So this is a middle way proponent. So they are debating with a mind-only school. So there are 2 points here. So before we talk about 2 points, the first thing that we have to understand is mind-only school, they assert that there is no external object, and those internal primary consciousnesses exist truly. So then the first point, middle way say to mind-only is, so you, mind-only school, so if you assert that those external objects, such as form, are established as it appears, then those external objects would be established as existent. And then second point, so if you, mind-only school, you assert that those external objects are not established as it appear, then those external objects, such as form, wouldn't exist truly. If those objects, such as form, do not exist truly, then you, mind-only school, you will assert that those objects as utterly non-existent. So if those objects are utterly non-existent, then those consciousnesses that observe those objects would be non-existent, wouldn't be existent, wouldn't exist as well. So therefore, it says, as you can see here, even apprehenders of form, of sounds, and etc. So here it refers to those consciousnesses that apprehends or that observe those objects, such as form, then will not exist as well.
다디 월드인가? 다디 월드 다양한데 랭가 받으러. 다 랭가 받는 데가 지거든요. 아까 니시었던 데가 지거든요. 데가 지거든요. 생각하러 생각하는 데가 지거. 아디 되는 뒤에 넘버 10 생이 인생. 다디 뭐지?
So here's this sentence refers to the first point, and this sentence refers to the second point. So then next outline is expressing the assertion. So this is a mind-only school expressing their assertion. So under this outline is next 2 line of verse 16. Now say they exist other than those aspects are mind itself.
이제 그 들어다 그런 데가 디지야 이거는 디지레. 바디 시로 되는 나와다. 좋아. 이제 로거를 수도지 시로 되는 나와데 시로 되니도 매장을 걸어와. 나와다지 되니도 매장을 와. 그래서 수시로지 돼. 나와나지 나와 되니도 매장. 다 델리 해도 나서 지요래. 그래서 다가 나서 한 델리 해 받지 로하지 샤. 다 로하도 가르자고서는 델리 해도 지요래스 가르요르스나 다 수도지 넘바데 자자. 다고 수도지 넘바데는 생지 제레스다. 나서 다 수도지 넘바데 자자. 와 수도지 넘바데는 다 생지 제레스. 제레스. 다데 그런 데가 되죠. 어디?
So mind-only proponent, so they kind of changed their assertion, changed a little bit of their assertion. So he says that even if the objects that are just as they appear, appearing as external objects, do not exist as those that other than them exist. Those aspects of forms and so forth are just of the substance of mind. So 지단이 단단히 공소 생산 바기 되수 있는데 지역이 된데 얘네들이 그래서 나와나 신데 두기요 말이스
너는 이 매장 요치 현다 지요래서
요치 현다
요치 지요래 가르였으나 다 델리 현도 요치도 시로 수도지 넘바티 시로 수도지 넘바티 다 해봐 줘와 다 해봐 미기 해봐라서 그래서 아라기 유진지 세니지 제사 여기들 했다데
수속이 넘바된소 이제 심리기 제로
제레스 제 넘버 때는 다 미기 쉐바 요라 미기스 넘기 요라 쉐바 넘기 요라 다 근데 쉐바 라라라기 세 위치지 세 된지 제사 하시래요 제사 하시래요
제장신
我제다 하시래요 제인지 제다 하시래요
So here he says that the second point is if even the illusion-like appearance as a random object itself does not exist, so then the following consequences, the consequences follow, right? So then here, mind-only proponent, they kind of change a little bit of their assertion. Then they say that those objects do not exist. So those external objects such as form are not established as they appear, and however they do appear in this way. So then my only proponents say that assert a mode of existence for those external objects. So how they assert is, so those aspects of form and so forth are just the substance of mind. So my only proponent, they say that those aspects of form, so this is the modes of existence of those external forms. So those aspects of forms and so forth are just the substance of mind. So those aspects of forms are just the substance or the nature of mind. So this is the modes of existence of those external forms. Cited is soon by yeah. So then next outline is the answer or response to mind-only proponents. Then it's under the outlines of is not seen by any non-dual consciousness. It is not seen by any non-dual consciousness. So under this outline is the first two lines of verse 17. Say, if the mind itself is an illusion, what would be seen by what at that time? Nawa nangshin majuba, nawa nangshin majuba ina yang, hine tiang kasayan susugi namba dero. Susugi namba tiang semi gi ze yana de rangshin imba.
Nawa nangshin kanda yomarwa. Nawa ina, nawa suna diitsi yudida yud shiro tenzuwa nawa pa drasaris. Nawa drasaris wa.
Nawa nangshin, stand by na dia nawa nangshin de majuba, de kelengyo.
그 드레사데 대체바 관리직이 다 요통을했대. 체바 관리 요대바 드레사데 체바 관리직 통을했어. 단 통제지단 통제스는 근데 소소 체바 지자면 누스. 저 소소 누스.
통제당 통제대.
통제는 통제대 근데 소소 지자면 다 자면 누스. 뭐 발라네. 그래서 유지다 배로와 역관시 유지 관계 통 근데 통제 근데 소소지 조금 누스. 그다음에 콜바 누었다.
지난해 심선박이 되주이나 단다 내가라 양 대치로기 된된 소인이 대한 나와나 신대 두기요 말에 아니 대한 디 유추디 간데 임바 아니 디 수수기 남바 대한 심이기 제 임바야 나디 的长心吧咯，其实你点控制给对水那得谈到那万能心的都比我嘛的，你点现在我们白那点怕死嘅我的，第二那得有当找为有些的叔叔的小孩呢，你得下有嘛的，你点通家当通知点叔叔下班能行，叔叔那你点叔开了的通给我的，
那边嘛就有经济的，有时你不切到的话，像下也没事，就不去。
So middle way proponent, if mind itself appears as an illusory object, but there is no external object, then what consciousness that is free from an object is seen by what valid cognizer at that time. There will be no seer. So, because my only assertions is, so those objects, those external objects such as form, are not established as they appear. So, but their mode of existence is those external objects such as form. They exist because they are aspects of forms. Those aspects of forms are the substance of mind, or are the nature of the mind. So this is the assertions of mind only school. Then middle way say to mind only. So if you say that those external objects such as form do not exist as they appear, then if you mind only proceed this object that is separated from the object possessor, then there is no way to proceed this way of there's no way to proceed this the object possessor and the object as separate. So you cannot separately proceed the object and also object possessor. So there's no way to proceed this way. So it's like when you proceed the object yeah. So the object to be seen and seer as separate. So so middle ways say that if those objects do not, my only school, you assert that those external objects such as form do not establish as they appear, then there's no way to proceed this object that is separated from its object possessor. So the object to be seen is separated from the seer, so there is no way to proceed such mode. Next outline is refuting self-knower. Refuting self-knower. So this outline says that those mind-only proponents, they assert self-knower, then middle way refute such self-knower. Refute the self-knower asserted by mind-only. So under this outline, the sub-outline is refuting through scriptures. Refuting self-knower through scriptures. Under this outline, the next two lines of verse 17 and first two lines of verse 18 say, the protector of the world also taught that mind does not see mind. Just as the blade of a sword does not cut itself, mind is similar.
냥스 농게 리스 셰바지 코랑 세 코랑 딱 뭔지 미시나 보지 마. 뭔지 미시다 보지 나 샤로와. 뭔지 미시게 리데 딱 뭔지 미시 라니 리나는 그 지지 그래 공기지 뭐. 뭔지 미시라 리나는 그렇지.
뭔지 미시데
뭔지 미시라 리나는 그렇지. 리나는 그렇지 그래. 와. 뭔지 미시들라.
뭔지 미시데라
리나는 그렇지.
니는 루베
딱 뭔지 미시 코랑 리나는 그렇지 그래. 다 든디지 뭔지 아니라 있는 게 든디게 지지 아닌데 뭔지 미시는 통통고 말해서 너 소리 해서 뭔지 미시 아니라 아니나 너비 너 되게 뭔지 미시 통고 말해서 된도를 소리해 딱 맞아 뭔지 미시 바샤와니까 지단 가서 시바 아니 이나는 아니 내가 두지 들어와 되게 아니 통고 말해서 이제 너를 소리해서 와 한 너를 간디지 소리해서 딱 빼지는 소시오 와 이제 좀 뭔가 너를 막 간디지 소리해서 딱 빼지는 마시고와 빼지는 가서 아 라디기 소 되니지 라디 소 되니 라디 소 되니 너무 같이 여봐이나야 같이 너보이나 다 아니 그 소대 아니 소 제 두고 말해서 제요 예스 와 뜻배잖아 그 생기세 아니 통마다 다 자다 뭔지 뭐게 세 아니게 아니라 있는 미친 네가 여마데 통하여 말했어 가 간다로 아니스나 시에빠데 아니지 캐내 뭐이나 시에빠 강가다 고스 생각을 시에빠 강가다 아니 요스 땅 뭔지 미시다보라 아니지 캐내거나 땅 뭔지 미시 나스면 아니 되게 뭔지 미시라 니나 너도 그래 또
디시바 강가인에 대한 랑리 요로
아니 요스 아니 캐내고로 와 땅 뭔지 미시다보라 샤고나 뭔지 미시지랑 아니 샤거나 뭔지 미시 니나 너도 샤고 뭔지 미시 니나
뭔지 미시
니나 니나 너도 뭔지 미시라 니나 너도 샤고 대니나 너도 샤고데 다 뭔지 미시라 니나 너도 대리지게 뭔지 미시 동고제 된 동고 말해서 너를 소리야 무슨 없다
가리만 가리기
뭔지
가리미도
미시라 니나 너도 지게 뭔지 미시 동고 말해서 동고 말해서 다 아니 그 동고 말이 된 만큼만 너를 소리야 무슨 없다 너를 소리야 다때 관리자 소서 그 라디기 소 되니게 너무 같이 여봐 있나야 다 아니 제 두고 말해서 제 문이 봐 대나시 되잖아 그 생기세 아니 동고 말이 뭔지 미시 아니 동고 말해서 와 아니 나는 그 말했어 내가 그래 그 말했어 어디 샤도아 라디스 빼나 라디스 와 라디스 랑랑기 쨌다야 뭐지가 되긴도 다 이지기 못 통하지 다 생기세 못 통하 들어와 생기세는 그냥 못 들어와 생기세 못 통하지 와 되게 시원해 다랑아리 와 되게 예스 와딱 코로나 맞대 내가 막 끼어와 라디스 라디랑 쏘면 또 라리 캐네 바나지 지비 넘바 니 라니 제라니 캐네 바디 리자다 리젤라 넘바 마도 치 됐잖아 메비 도바 타데자 메비 지도 캐네기 이 라니 캐네나 라디스 라니 치 시지 캐네 거래 아테 라니 캐네기 캐네나 되게 되게 그래 해서 우리 캐네 그래 근데 다 요 말했어 근데 요 말에 진이 야자라 때바는가 이 자와지 캐네 것들이 요 말와 맞아 주지비 체마지나 유즈들라 때네 주치징과 zutla tene miche zute miche de shene de tela tene de ganda su ji chima chi che wa da danda chong cha to ina geri chema de ge jaja la te ba me ba de jaja ji ja ko se lo ko res kin le ko res da de ji yo ma res da kana wa yo zunji miche de ge zu yo de she zu to de de miche zutla tene da mun ji miche che wa da chong rang di kele ma rang di rang ge be no se wa wa de lo de 다 근데 야자라마 때바 메바 미치나 때바 메바지 되듯이 얘들 자와 캐지 내고 누스 캐내고 누스 다 그런 다 되고요
데술라 지당이나 데술라对你顺心车嘛的给我的因为的工作的让你对应的所以呢的下的写下样那的数了嘛对吧因为的车嘛给有的因为点让点的有嘛的So it is untenable that the consciousness itself experiences and cognizes itself in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. Then the protector of the world also taught in the sutra requested by Crown Jewel that mind does not see mind. By proceeding analogies such as the blade of a sword cannot cut the blade of the sword itself. For example, just as the blade of a sword does not cut itself, no matter how, similarly the mind does not see mind. So here is refuted through scriptures, right? So here it says that it is untenable that the consciousness itself experiences and cognizes itself in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. So mind only, they assert a self-knower or self-cognizer. So and middle way, then they refute the self-knower asserted by mind only. So saying that it is untenable that the consciousness itself experiences and cognizes itself in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. So when we talk about self-knower or self-cognizer, so it means mind only, they assert that all consciousnesses there is self-knower in all consciousnesses. So for example, mind. Yeah. So for example, an eye consciousness apprehending blue. An eye consciousness apprehending blue. So for mind only, so there is a self-knower. So that self-knower is an awareness. So it is an awareness in which a dualistic appearance is vanished with regard to that eye consciousness apprehending blue. Mind only school, they apprehend self-knower, right? So they say that self-knower exists in all consciousnesses. Then, for example, eye consciousness apprehending blue. So this is the consciousness. So eye consciousness apprehending blue. So there is an awareness that exists in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. There is an awareness that exists in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. Then dualistic appearance. So this is how they would assert the existence of self-knower in relation to this eye consciousness apprehending blue. So there is an awareness that exists in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance, and with regard to this eye consciousness apprehending blue. Then sutra requested by Crown Jewel then say that mind does not see mind. So it means that So the sutra means that with regard to this eye consciousness apprehending blue, so there is no awareness that exists in a manner of dualistic appearances that observe this eye consciousness. So here it says that it's untenable that the consciousness itself experiences and cognizes itself, right? So means that this for example, eye consciousness apprehending blue, it doesn't experience and cognizes itself in a manner of vanished dualistic appearance. So however, for mind only, they say that there is a self-knower. So self-knower means that there is a講到其實啦，點樣知咪係啦？你能努別落小嘅嘢，點咪係能落啦，樣落先係主要嘅啲啦。我知咪係啦，你能努別落小嘅話。
我知咪係可能你能讓你去小嘅呢？我知寫把嗰個啦，讓你去小嘅話。但我知咪係啦，讓你去小嘅話。但是現在把我說寫把我知咪係到個點度，但佢哋弄得自己。我知咪係到個咧，第一點寫把mand到你有嘅是寫把mand到你。
我知咪係啦，
我知咪係可能到個，但寫把嗰個攞嘅話，我知咪係到個第一點。
寫把你有。
寫把你，係就是呢，佢寫出把所有number解釋，佢寫出怕如此通嘅事，佢寫出把所有 number 解記的。
佢記住
把寫出把所有 number 解記的，係吧？
所謂 number 解
記的，那是吧？다 카나 코나 쇼바 하나 코나 쇼바 짐비 넘버지 니 요레스다 짐비 넘버지 니 유소아 짐비 넘버지 니
짐비 넘버지
오 카나 코나 쇼바 짐비 카나 코나 쇼바 짐비 넘버지 니 요레스 당원 짐비 히다 베샤나로와 다 카시쇼베 조이 넘버지 데 예리 개발이스 카시쇼에 다 니샤이 봐 카시쇼에 조이 넘버지 데 예리 개발이스 예리 개발
예리 개발
다 카나 코나 쇼베 짐비 개발되는 거리스 대라 말이랬어. 다 힘받지기 때문에 니요래서.
其实那张图给能落来，我是米些来，但你能努别落的顶我是米些来的通过嘛的，
그 통통 말했어. 아니
让你这样显力的通过嘛的，
니들이 아니 통통 말했어. 너 그래. 요즘 이게 아니
소소的通过嘛的，
아니 너무 많다. 근데 농안 사.
그래서
너무 말했어. 너는 니는
용나
니는 너가 니는 너무 말했어. 다들 따라서 또 맞았으면 될 잡아 주세요. 그래요. 맞아. 시합하기 이게 아니 나는 또 맞았으면 될 야, 또 되게 뭐라.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So when we talk about self-knower, so self-knower basically is a consciousness that experiences and cognizes itself in a manner of vanish, a dualistic appearance. So, for example, I consciousness apprehending blue. So, this for mind only school, then they assert that I consciousness apprehending blue, for example, they are two consciousnesses. So one consciousness has the aspects of apprehended. Has the aspect of apprehended means that it is directed outward. So one first consciousness is the consciousness that has the aspects of the apprehended, means that this consciousness is directed outward. So and this consciousness is a consciousness of other knower. And then the second consciousness is the consciousness that has the aspects of the apprehender. So the apprehender means that this consciousness that has the aspects of apprehender is directed inward. So one consciousness is directed outward, another consciousness is directed inward. And this consciousness that has the aspects of apprehender that is directed inward is the self-knower, is the consciousness of self-knower. So for my only school, so there are two consciousness in one consciousness itself. So for example, an I consciousness apprehending blue, then there are two consciousnesses. First consciousness is the consciousness that has an aspect of the apprehended that is directed outward, and that is other knower. And the second consciousness is the consciousness that has the aspect of apprehender that is directed inward, and that is self-knower. So for my only school that assert self-knower, right? So means that there is a consciousness that observe or that sees the consciousness itself. So for example, an I consciousness apprehending blue. So there is an awareness that observe or experience the I consciousness apprehending blue itself in a manner of dualistic appearances. So if such self-knower existed, it would this consciousness would experience the consciousness itself in a manner of vanished dualistic appearances. However, a self-knower doesn't exist. So as is refuted in the sutra requested by Crown Jewel, that mind does not see mind. And then since proponents of self-cognizers or self-knowers accept that an aspect of the apprehender cognizes itself with respect to its objects of cognition and the cognizer, so there is not even a mere atom which dawns in dissimilar aspect, whereby they are asserted to be the same, such that not even the isolates are different. Hence, if such cognizers are asserted, then one must assert that the blade of the sword cuts itself and the like, and one must assert that a valid cognizer comprehends its objects of comprehension without relying on its objects of comprehension. So it would result that because a valid cognizer apprehending a form can arise without depending on form, without depending on the form. So it will result in a valid cognizer that apprehends form could arise without depending on form. However, a valid cognizer apprehending form cannot arise without depending on its objects of comprehension or without depending on form. So there is no such thing that a valid cognizer could arise without depending on its objects of comprehension, such as form.
被开始的，咱们慢慢背习，咱把们习惯了，要知道慢慢让给人养到稍微习惯呢，慢慢稍微下面的，是民间这个没事，这个没事，这几千多啊，这些，我说个几多啊，那地方的学生。
Next outline is refuting through analogy. Refuting through analogy. 被搞吧咯。
被搞吧咯。
被搞吧咯。被人搞吧嘛咯。Yeah. So next outline is refuting through analogy. Yeah. So there are several analogies. The first one is refuting through the analogy of butter lamp. So under this outline, refuting through analogies, then there are 4 lines. The first 2 lines, the next 2 lines of verse 18 and the first 2 lines of verse 19. Say, it is just like a butter lamp that perfectly illuminates the entity that is itself. A butter lamp is not an object to be eliminated because darkness is not obscured by darkness.
他被搞把地给修，当我是被马妹被搞把地修多啊，他不搞了我是当那可能是可能是把他们就把他们修是吧？他们可能是们就把修的把搞是吧？他可是搞人就过是呢，对呢，马妹修的让经验波的引经验波，你个样打把啥话修的也是我的，可能是人这个的，人这个的马妹修的，但让经验波的引经验波，你个样打把啥话修的也是。电脑新了，稍微是你看同事了过了，那你看有的是，我是真的修的话，你看同啊，然后有不的，现在有不，你看稍微修吧，然后他比讲了，他写吧，同样是教的吧，是吧？他比讲是吧？然后他你看理解是，我这么写的，可能比较能理解的，我这么写的，让你的现我们那什么，你看理解是，你记了吧？讲的都是吧？我这么写的，我下回呢。我们没写上的，而且我们一个里面的是我在看的，是吧？一个里面写吧，你那是他全那个现在都是我是吧？他都是这个写比较上，那个电脑是这个的，写吧呢，他全那个别的讲的我们别的那他马的是的，别的样打把马的是，我们把了他讲别的样打把马的是，因为这个是呢，马面上的让啥话写吧，马的也是。마음이 랑그 랑사 시바 마리스 마음이 랑그 랑사와 시 니고 마리스 저 마리스 와 랑그 랑사와 시 구고 마리 시 구바 니바 야 마리스 랑 마음이 랑그 랑사와 시바지 니스나 마음이 랑게 사자 미바 지오 그랬어 마음이 랑그 랑 사자 미바 지오 그랬어 마음이 랑그 뭐라 사자 미바 디어 마라
마음이 랑게 사자 요 그랬어
마음이 랑그 사자 미바 지오다 와 마음이 랑그 랑 사와 제스나 마음이 랑게 랑 사자라 랑게 미바죠 사자 미바죠 다 미바도 요 말아네 마메랑 뭐 세와 마지 세와 제가 마도 그 미바 요 말아 마메랑 뭐라 와 근데 마메랑 그랑 세와게 사자 말이 세 미바 요 말 미바 요 말이스 미바 메 주제 가스나 마메랑 랑 사야게 사자 미바도 요 말이스 랑 사자 미바지 요 말아
마메랑 기 뭐 있나데 세와레
세와 차대로 왜 그런 게로 와? 왜 그런 게 저도 누가 요마로? 마음이랑 뭐라 왜 그런 게로 와?
뭐라 네 대한 뭐 요마레?
누가 요마로? 그 마음이 왜 되게 랑 싸와 있으나 그 랑이 사자 지 랑 사자 지 뭐라? 사자 미바지. 랑 사자 미바지 이 요마레스. 아데 사자 랑 미바 메바다 아 뭐를 두게 된데 최도를 소리한 무슨 상관 최도서 따라서 주는 거지로 와. 이거 뭐 누구 순간 스타트 요마레 순간 어디 치냐 이것도 말하고 와 diga maris wa da de yo maris tilora de maris de rang rang sawa shini guna diba yo maris de dana denda ina da mame rang rang osa guna de rang osa ina da mibi ja rangi ni ka tipa shepa juna de shi mar de yo ba ina mimba ge mimba dila gune sa chang wa da mame rang sawa isna mame rang sa je guru wa de yo marwa de mibi ge mimba dila gune wa 민비기 민바 디라바 디바이나 내가나 가르치겠으나 또 bomba 계지 디바 나시 차는 그랬어 bomba 계지 디바이나 bomba 계지 디바이나 bomba 통통고 말와 맞아 bomba데 기뚱나다 맞아 가서 bomba 루사 지나로 bomba 루사 지나로 내지나 우게트나 또 bomba도 통고 말와 bomba 디사라고 뭐 통으로 말아와. 다 민바도 민비 지스나 다 민바 통하야. 예? 민바 통하면 잘. 좋아. 민바 민비 지스나 민바 통하면 잘. 대 민바 통하면 봐 차스나 대 무슨나 가도. 나. 무슨 교환을 그래. 무슨 감바지노라. 로드 마세바이나 민바 통으로. 좋아. 감바나 로드 마세바이나 민바지 완이로. 다 민바도 무슨 망통로 보지. 민비기 민바 주바이나 민비기 민바 지나 다 민바 통하야 봐. 어디들 민바 통하.
무슨 난 가게
무슨 나 정말 민바는 무슨 여라다. 무슨 게로 민바 여마서 민바 지나 민바 매고.
민바 통해요 말이
통하야 말아. 민바 통하야 말아. 그 민바 통하야 봐서 내가 무슨 동굴 다들 무슨 교화차.
민바 대한 무슨 통화대
동굴 가서 통하야 해라. 민바는 미히 통하야라고. 미히 통하야 무슨 게로 그랬어. 좋아. 민비 민바들. 다 된다데 마음이랑 거랑 싸워지나. 좋아. 마음이랑 거랑 싸워지나. 마음이랑 사지 못들. 사제치. 사제디 요 말이 마음이랑 왜다 된 말와. 그럼 민바 좀 이거 말와. 다 되나시. 이 대요서는 다 민바랑 싸우는데. 민바랑 거랑 지그래. 나 디바이나 다 민바 못 와서 공부 계지 디바 나시 차는 그랬어. 뭐라. 그래서 공부대 잘라 가시기로. 같이는 이제 돈 말와. 대나시 차는 그랬어. 다 되니 다들 리바데 가서 자와시는 말씀이 나오네. 이 자와시는 있어야 돼. 리바데. 와. 이 지는 거 자와시最多的是把这个提起的。
其实咱那cấp的个设计点被搞吧，那点现在被搞哦，
这个就是怕搞吧。
那是
妈咪就被搞吧的，但妈咪搞吧的，气搞吧是没那个吧？
那是。
这个容易那个搞我的。但是我这边是让给让，我买的是让给让，同我买的那的，让给让同我买的是的。
The refutation of the analogy of the butter lamp is as follows. Mind-only proponent, for example, is just like a butter lamp that perfectly illuminates the two, the thing that is itself and things that are others. So here, mind-only school. So first it talks about the proponents of mind-only. So they say that, then they assert, they support the self-knower by giving an analogy, and the analogy is a butter lamp that perfectly illuminates itself and other things. So likewise, the consciousness cognizes both itself and other. Then middle way proponent says that, so then here is the consciousness cognizes both itself and others, right? Then, for example, an eye consciousness apprehending blue. So this eye consciousness apprehending blue cognizes itself and cognizes the blue. Yeah, for example, according to mind-only proponent. Then middle way proponent say that the analogy is not established. A butter lamp does not illuminate itself, for a butter lamp is not an object to be illuminated by the butter lamp itself, because it does not need to and is not able to illuminate itself. Then in that case, if darkness also obscures both itself and other, then this is incorrect, because darkness is not obscured by darkness. If it is, then just like a vase that is obscured by a piece of cloth, darkness will not be seen. So here, middle way, then they refute this analogy, saying that this analogy is not established. So a butter lamp does not illuminate itself. So for a butter lamp is not an object to be illuminated by the butter lamp itself. So it means that butter lamp is in the nature of luminous, is in the nature of being luminous. So, and there is no darkness in its nature. There is no darkness in its nature. So if you say that butter lamp illuminates itself, then there must be an object to be illuminated, right? So there must be an object to be eliminated, which is darkness. Then, however, in the nature of a butter lamp, there is no darkness. So if there is not an object to be illuminated by the butter lamp, Oh, yeah. So if you say that a butter lamp illuminates itself, then there must be a darkness exist to be eliminated. So, however, there is no darkness does not exist in a butter lamp. So, and if so if such darkness exists, then then he says darkness also obscures both itself and others. Then darkness would obscure darkness itself. So then it would mean that darkness cannot be seen because darkness is obscured by darkness. Just like you're putting a cloth on top of a vase, you cover a vase with a piece of cloth, then you cannot see the vase, right? So then if butter lamp illuminates itself, then you will follow that darkness also obscures itself. If darkness also obscures itself, darkness cannot be seen. Then, because our eye consciousness can see darkness, right? So our eye consciousness can see darkness. Then since darkness obscures itself, then it wouldn't be visible. It wouldn't be visible, then it would contradict the direct perceiver. So because darkness can be seen by a direct perceiver such as eye consciousness, then if darkness obscured itself, then it cannot be seen by an eye consciousness. It cannot be seen by a direct perceiver. Thus, it would contradict the direct perceiver. So therefore, this analogy of a butter lamp is not a proper or is not a correct analogy.
Oh yeah. 어디 되어로 당어서 배 마음에 가봐도 답배 시지 가봐도 시지 배 가봐도 시지 농부원이라 신라对吧有意思대신 그 시신하는对的对面关系公司你미랑 농부들 다비다 니 제가 메시 나도 저러 같이 진행도 하다 좀 쉬는
So next is the refutations of the analogy of glass, and under this outline, under this line, then is verse next two lines of verse 19 and verse 20 itself. There is blue as in crystal, and blueness that does not rely on something other. Likewise, some entities are seen in reliance on something other, and some are seen without reliance. It is not the case that the blueness in that which was not blue made itself into the nature by itself.
도도지시나 폰도 질러보라. 어다들이 도도지만서人能不记得嘛下脚이나人能不记得와人能不记得 샤바이나 당연부지다 칩 능부지다 칩 다고人能不가셔도 나서 여러분 능부 통과 요금부 통과 칩이요 왜 요금부 통과 그人能不가셔야와人能不가셔야데 그人能不知道 칩이人能不知道 진짜네 다고 능부도 나오고 시가버도 능부도 나오고 능부도 나와서 가르스는 신라 되는 해서 다 그런 게 있을다. 너희 되게 들어오다. 얘가 되네. 대장고 뭐 얘가 되네 나와서 와. 얘가 되네 되면 장고 뭐 주밖에 말해서. 뭐 대화 뭐 주바 말해. 아 신라 되네. 지금 해서 신라 되네 해서 와. 신라 되네 뭐 보통 해서. 이제 장고 다 뭐 그렇게 말와. 장고 시코로 가보러 와. 어때? 말해서 다들 빼지다. 다들 가서 그렇게 제리치 받아 올리고 안데 신 까보들 농부 따볼 때 농부 나한테 예리치 받아 빼셔. 다 예리치 받아.
예리치 받아.
예리치 받을 샤오라 빼. 예리치 받은 것도 수소 농부라 파때는 준비 시받 제거해서 오르와. 어딜 빼셔 시다. 예리치 받아. 아직은 시받지다 허리다. 예리치 받 니니 걸로 봐. 어디
수술을 때네요.
다들 농부한테 제와대 어디 제일 때네 농부 나오러 와. 다들 예리 시바디 조라서 봐 예라 때네 제오러 와. 예라 때네 뭐 예레스. 단 맨리아 농부 시와대 장류 뭐 정부 제바리 산다 맨리아 농부들 그러게 네 예라 때네 또 말해서 오라 맨리아 농부들 rang ngo ni jeng ngo tu khora ma ngo ha re ma do hela te ne ngo chaba ke ma re sa da khora ni ro me ro ngo so da rang ngo ni ji khora ngo tu re ma do hela te ne ngo zo ni chaba ma re sa are ta te ga na shi lo wa ta me ro ngo rang ngo ji ba ji hela te ngo ma yi ba na shi lo ta de pe de wa ta de rabin de France lo da France lo
Rangi sheba pero.
rabin de France lo da senza la France lo France che si ci vuole da 다 대나시 다 배대나시로 오로 배니 샤소 다 배니데 예리 시바다 라니 시바 니가 드니를 간다 되려고 와
장기 pero
라니 라니
배도야 돼요.
가야도 다 지기라니 시바들라 예리 시바다 라니 니어스로 오로 다 신는보다 통하데 예리 시발 배샤 멘데 안 뭐 라니가 뭐 지야데 라니를 쓰잖아
장기 sheba pero.
라니 시바 배샤 다 배샤 다 되니 제가 때도 많이 받대 나시 다 줄라 소방가시 다 대셔도 줄라 소방가시 리반 예셰바 예나 때 봐서 다지 보도 너무 샤소아 오 예리시 받들 샤고래 다 셰바데 랑 리바드와 라리드와 랑 리바데 다 리시 예나 때만 봐 통소하데 다 멘드랑 받들 샤고 멘드랑 받들 와다 그런 거다 내받다 다 제가 들리 샤고 연아 아슬로가 다 들리 샤나 다 빠지네 봐 가와 아기를 바꿔오데 다 뭐 벤드에 있는 거데 저랑 빼도 지금 문도 리샤는 지금 말했어 다 엄마가 바꿔오러 와 간디지 가고서 벤드에 있는 거데 저랑 그때 주시야 마티바 라니기 빼더니 뭐 두바리 뭐 두바지 대자원이 이와요 말 되게 말했죠 그 마티비 주제 가나 맞춤 디시 인신지라 랑 주지라 마티바 자원이 제요 말했어
디시 인신지라
디시 인신지라 랑 주지라 때 제고래 마도 데 랑 주지라 마티바 다니 집이죠 랑 주시네 디지야 자원이 요 말했어 다니 뭐 집이 줄에 지야 메서 맞고 가샤 들어오면 그말 가샤 들어와 다니 뭐지래 랑 뭐지다 랑 줄에 디지야 개자원이 요 말했어
랑이 교체네요.
교체 디지야 요 말 다니 뭐지 줄에 지야 요 말했어 다니 뭐지 랑 뭐지바 디지가 지와 자원이 요 말했어
다니 뭐지바
뭐지 줄에 지야 요 말했어 다니 뭐지 줄에 자원이 지야 요 말했어 와 디지야 왜가 다 코로나가 되고 나데 센자만 되고 그래 엄마가 니가 되고 다니 뭐지래 제가 니가 되고 다 주기를 제바다 다 되고 니가 와 주를 제바 되고 그래 이나 코로나가 해야더라고 아니 뭐 두바리스는 거와
규례기 와이나 대신자 받아 오마 받아 대교요리 이게 대한 다니 뭐 집에 규례기 받아 대한 대신자 받아 되요.
뭐 제가 왜 그러다 매대는 거 코로나가 뭐라 그랬어 얘가 또 말했어 다 대신자 봐 오마 파리 봤다 다 매대 아니야 보도 디시리아 뭐 보러 왔어 디시 인신지라 랑게 주체나 때네 제고로 마도 랑게 주체나 마테바 제요 말았어 지기 제요 말았어 다들이 봤다고 있으나 밖에 내고다 뭐게 말해 안 해야 돼
간기 교지라 때네 대기고로
어떻게 제가 디시 켈링으로 진짜 뭐 디시 켈링으로 켈링으로 어디다 대고 뭐 무슨 다만 뭐 다니도 제가 메시들어다 다 뭐 랑게 다 다니도 제가 메시 다니 지기 줄에 제가 말씀 예 어디다 제가 바꿔 내가 빼도 빼도 바꿔서 다 빼도 바꿔다니 다 라리데랑데랑 요야마랑 시바야마 스타 단다디 바꿔서와 전화티 가와 시바랑 라리바야마 스타티 가야트와
The refutations of the analogy of glass is as follows. Mine only proponent, there is blue as in glass, which is produced through the force of the basis, white glass, relying on other, not by way of its own entityness, and with respect, so this is the first analogy. So here there is a piece of white glass or a transparent glass. Then if you were to put this transparent glass on top of a piece of blue cloth, then this glass will appear as blue color, right? Will appear as blue, and and this blueness appears in relation to others or in dependence on others. So this blueness does not appear by way of its own entity. So therefore, this is an analogy of other knower. So this is an analogy of consciousness of other knower. So just now we mentioned that consciousness has two types of consciousnesses. One is self-knower, another one is other knower, right? So this is the analogy of other knower according to mind-only proponent. Then, and with respect to Vaiduya or Baiduya, so lapis lazuli, so blueness is produced by way of its own entities, not relying on others. So lapis lazuli, so it is blue by its own, it is by nature blue color. So therefore, that blueness does not appear in dependence on others. So then, mind only assert these to be an analogy of the consciousness of self-knower. So mind only already assert two, right? So two analogies, one analogy of other knower, and the second one is the analogy of self-knower. Then, likewise, some such as forms are seen in reliance on other cognizers, that is consciousnesses, and since consciousness cognizes itself by itself, and even seen without reliance on other cognizers. So here he talks about mind only they assert self-knower. Then middle way proponent says that your analogies are not correct. So it follows that the analogy of the blueness of Vaiduya not being produced as blue from other causes is incorrect, because it is not the case that the blueness in that which was not produced as blue from causes made itself into the nature of blue by itself. So because it is not the case that the blueness in that which was not produced as blue from causes made itself into the nature of blue by itself. So it means that so both mind only and middle way, they both assert compounded. They both assert compounded phenomena, and they assert that they both assert that phenomena as a compounded phenomena are produced from causes. So then, therefore, middle way say to mind only. So they both assert compounded phenomena, and compounded phenomena are produced from cause. So then middle way say that as long as if it is a compounded phenomena, then it must arise in dependence on its cause. It must arise in dependence on its cause. So it cannot arise from itself. It cannot arise from itself means that it cannot itself cannot be the cause for its own production. It cannot be arise from itself. So it must arise in dependence on its cause. Itself cannot be the cause for its own production. Then, so compounded phenomena cannot arise from a cause that has the same entity with itself. A compounded phenomena cannot arise from a cause that has the same entity with itself. It means that, so it basically means that it cannot be, a compounded phenomena cannot arise from itself. Yeah, itself cannot be the cause for its own production. So this is the assertions of middle way. So then through these, through these refute the self-knower asserted by mind only. So saying that your analogies are incorrect. Next outline is refuting the meaning. Under this outline is verse 21. Says, a butter lamp illuminates when it is said that consciousness knows through being known by what? Is it said that awareness illuminates?
니도 몸에 싸워도 히비기 힘을 해서 히비 히데 그때다 제가 신나서 그러 제가 몸에 싸워 다다지 몸부 가서와 남이랑 그랑 싸워 맞다 랑 싸워 맞지 장스 다 몸에 싸워니 해서 그 히비기 힘을 해서 히비 하고 해서 그러 히비 힘을 해서 근데 제가 신나 다 히바랑 그랑 싸워 많이 나서 랑 그랑 싸워 많이 얘들은 너는 싸워 니노 히바 지 강이야 걔네 이게 제가 신의 이거 말했다 뭐 제가 싸워 이게 관계 되는 신경쓰는 제가이나 이거 말했다 가가와 얘들로는 싸워니 이노 제가 이게 관계 제가 현다 지기 신경쓰나와 현다 지기 신경쓰나 된지고 말했어 간다 된지고 말했어 다 먼저 그 주제 가서는 이게 리리나 다 해봐 도매 차는 거였어 왕년에와 이게 다 지기 제제를 도매 차는 거라 뭔지 미시다가 야데 제 현다 해봐 지기나 야 해봐 현다 야 대지 해봐 현다지 야 대지라 해봐 현다지 아 되게 도매 차는 거였어
cái giải này nguyên gì mình sẽ đáp bố
뭔지 미시다가 되거라 예 아니 싸워니까 해봐 현다지 시그랬어 해봐 현다지 대지나 야 해봐 현다지 해봐 현다지 시고 아 대지 현다지 현다지나 대지 해봐 도매 차는 거였어
nguyên gì mình sẽ đáp bố là đang hiện kỳ sẽ cái đấy
와 얘지 해로 그래 딱 그런 거 들어와 그런 데 들어와 얘지 해로 그래서 근데 얘지 해봐이나 근데 잡아이나 왜 얘지 해봐도 야 얘지 해봐 그래서 야 얘지 해봐도 얘지 딱배 해봐 그러면 잡고 나 진짜 뭐 이거 그래서 와 그래도 잡고 그래서 다 얘지 제지리냐 그러면 다 얘지 제지리냐 도매 차와데 나데 해봐 도매 차와데 생각보다 그러니까 내가 잡다 엄마가 네가 캐 나데
가르치는 거
네가 해봐 도매 차와 얘지 제 리스나 지기 해봐 대기에서 현다 지기 리그래서 내 해봐 도매도 차와데 엄마가 가다 생각을 네가 그때 바뀌나 근데 엄마가 그때가 줄 동요로 와 나도 줄 또디 다 간다 생각을 내지야 가래 가고 쓰고 내가 이 코로나가 되었다디
시바 투메 차오
해봐 도매 차와 네가 캐리 나 코로나 도지나 해봐 얘지 제지 리그래서 와 그래서 근데 리바이다 엄마가 줄 동요 내 해봐 도매 차는 그래서 와 해봐 도매 차는 그래서 근데 그 말에 나 랑이 말이 나 예시 말이 나서 나도 지지고 말레고 와
저는 대단한 로니 세원이 이 노시에 시바 제신 강기 시에 되게 도 주바 지니 미리소 양 심상박이 도 주이나 우마바
스마바 생각을 위해서 막 진짜 이거 말을 바꿔오라 리소서 우마 버와 맞아 우마 버와 맞아
although a butter lamp does not illuminate itself then thì cắn lại này thì xem xong bài đó rồi so mind only proponents they say that although a butter lamp does not illuminate itself it is said that a butter lamp illuminates when it is said that consciousness knows then it is not that consciousness illuminates itself in that case through being known by what consciousness of through being known by what consciousness of other substance is it said that awareness illuminates? It is inappropriate. So up to this point is the assertions of mind only. Then it is inappropriate. Then is the assertions of middle way. So mind only say that butter lamp does not illuminate itself, and yeah, so basically when mind only say that butter lamp illuminates, then the meaning that they illustrate is consciousness knows. Consciousness knows. So this is the meaning they are trying to illustrate. And then if it is known by another substance, so here is to refute that mind only say that this consciousness, for example, an eye consciousness apprehending blue, is known by another substance, is known by other, then this other consciousness must be known by another consciousness, must be known by another other, right? So then this other will be known by another other, and this another other will be known by another other. So then this then it would absolutely follow that there will be no contact. So it means that if this consciousness, if a consciousness, for example, an eye consciousness apprehending blue is known by other, then this other consciousness must be known by another consciousness. So then these will become no contact. So then it will how to say, keep going, and then there will be no end, or there will be no contact. So because consciousness, middle way and mind only, they both assert that if this is the case, then the consciousness will become no contact, and this is asserted by both a middle way and mind only as well. So therefore, the mind only is giving the mind only a hard time that their assertions are not established, cannot establish. 가리미리나 So then verse 22 then is the refutation by the middle way. So verse 22 say, if that is not seen by any, whether that illuminates or does not illuminate, is like the gracefulness of the daughter of a barren woman. It is meaningless even to express it. If it is not known, that is seen even by any cognizer, then even to express the difference of whether it illuminates or does not illuminate is meaningless, because the basis of difference, the basis of difference or the basis of quality cannot be established by all. Just like when the daughter of a barren woman does not exist, it is meaningless to describe her gracefulness. So middle way already refuted the assertion, the self-knower asserted by mind only, right? So there is no self-knower that knows itself or cognizes itself, and this is not cognized by others as well. Because if it were cognized by others, then this because the other consciousness must be cognized by another consciousness as well. So then it will become contactless. So all these are refuted. So then middle way say that, so since self-knower doesn't even exist, then why are you talking about whether it illuminates or not? So because the basis of quality, which is the self-knower, it doesn't even exist. It is not a valid cognizer. So why are you talking about its quality, whether it knows or whether it cognizes or not? So it is pointless. Just like you are talking about the hands, legs, and the heights and etc. of the daughter of a barren woman. So the daughter of a barren woman doesn't even exist. Why are you talking about its quality, such as it has long legs and etc. The legs or the hands that she has. So it is pointless. Then next outline is the analogy of a production of remembrance, even though a self-knower doesn't exist. Under this outline is first two line of verse 23. Say, if a self-cognizer doesn't exist, how would a consciousness be remembered? So mind only proponent says that if a self-cognizer does not exist, how would a primary consciousness, that is the object possessor, be remembered? Since it would not, if one were to be able to infer the experience through the signs of remembrance, at the time of remembering, I previously saw blue, due to emphasis of the experience of remembrance, the experience of the object is established from the sight of remembering the object. So then I saw blue, that very experience of the object is the apprehender of blue. The existence of the experience of the object possessor is established from the sign of remembering the object possessor I saw. That is the self-cognizer. The self-cognizer is also established by the reasoning that refutes other alternatives as to what the experiencer of the apprehender of blue is. So here, mind only, they say that when you, yeah. So if one were to be able to infer the experience through the sign of remembrance, then at the time of remembering, so when one remembers that I previously saw blue, then I previously saw blue, then so the experience of the object is established from the sign of remembering the object. So I previously saw blue, then, and this emphasis is on the object itself. So the experience of the object is established from the sign of remembering the object, which is blue. Then the existence of the experience of the object possessor is established from the sign of remembering the object possessor I saw. So if one remembers, if one has this thought, I saw, or remembers I saw, then this is the sign of remembering the object possessor, and this establish the experience of the object possessor. Then, and this experience of the object possessor is the self-cognizer. So this is assertions of mind only. So they talk about the experience of object and the experience of object possessor from the signs of remembering the object and the object possessor. So from the sign of remembering the object possessor, then one has then there is the experience of the object possessor, and that experience of the object possessor is the self-cognizer. They are you temani you nyungwaro. And they you yungende yang ngunzi mishe na ya na ngunzi mishe ngunzi tenshi maro.
Temba you the you the tongue 용케를 쓰는 건지 해서로
그래서 ngunzi mishe de.
이제 맞아 통사 제가 맞아 되게 지워라. 뭐지 통사 되게 지워라. 제게 지워디 다가나 유도 제워디 유도 뭐 농게 쓰르스나 뭔지 풀어. 뭔지 풀어 놓고
뭐만 용겐데 소래.
어디로? 나 대신 와서 똑바로 봐. 뭔지 그런 모습 봐. 모습 봐.
Yeah. So basically here it talks about the remembrance of the object is the experience of the object. So who experienced the object is the, for example, the eye consciousness apprehending blue. When we talk about apprehensions of blue, then that eye consciousness apprehending blue is the one that experienced the object, or is the experiencer of object, which is blue. And when we talk about remembrance of object possessor, then that remembrance of object possessor is the experience of object possessor. And the one that experienced the object possessor is the self-knower. So this is assertions of mind only. So basically can be summarized into these 2 points. One is remembrance of object is the experience of object. The one, the experiencer of the object, for example, is the eye consciousness apprehending blue. Then the second point is remembrance of object possessor. So remembrance of object possessor is the experience of the object possessor. And the experiencer of the object possessor is the self-knower. So again, this is assertions of mind only. Then the next 2 lines of verse 23 is the response. It says, say, it would be remembered through relation when experiencing another, like the poison of a rat. In Brugit da na tiang kasaan de misi ituen da yo marwa. drugi da tui
누가
ka.
태우고 시와디야 랑 기sel레고 지다 누가는 시와디만 얘도 그러와 야 야가지 야랑 지가지
Oh, drugi da na de ya ga se.
야 더
Ye du su bo la nang la shu ba den su ni de ya lang yu.
당가서 두디야 그거 두도 나오와 두도 나오디 나 수당 한다 나 수당 거와 나 수당 어디 당마면 시 부비스나 다 대고 두디 슈누사 다 제바 찍어 이 제바 찍을 때이나 노아들 떼고 누워서 제바 노아라 떼고 그 노아 소제를 가서 그 두뇽이야 말아 두뇽이야 말아 소제바데 나수디 모두 소제비 두디 뇽이야 말아 대디 가서 소제비 두디 뇽이야 따라가 리지 요가가 샤워 대 가서 두 뇽이야 말아 다 뇽아라 떼고 뭐 그래서 제바데 뇽아라 떼고 뇽아라 떼고 뭐 그래서
Temba ne de nyong la de do
떼고 뭐 그래서 시근 두다 태우데 나 두슈다비 뇽아데 쟁그레스 대 두슈도데 대 제바데 제우데 대가 두슈도 나서 되지 제시데 제우려면 나 두슈비 가서 뇽아 제야 말았어 이 뇽아 말아 두슈비 가서 뭐 소제비 가서
so ke ka la ne de du shu kyang ne de do nyong yo ma le. Any de chi su any de di ka da de drugi da tu ne any de ya ga ki du su any de du de ya la any yang du yong du de nyong yo ro.
두 나오디 나서 땅 거로
De do nyong yo ro. De je la any de du nyong yo res any de chen xie ji any o de so kya be ka la any kung ga so kya be ka la any de du shu yo res any de temba de yang du nyong wa la de do ge ma res.
두 나오가서 말해 두 나오야 말아 내가 두 나오야 말아
De nga gi du nyong wa la de do ma res.
사람이 믿을 제바 찍을 했어 나도 우리 맨날 제바 찍을 했어 우리가 띄고 좋아서
Jang ri me kyang
제바 찍을 했어 제바 찍을 했어 뭐라 뭐들 당가서 담보 소지 제대 마다 봐 다사와지 괜찮아 마다 봐 다사와 마다 다사디 다제 마다 제일 시기 누 자자 대고 뛰려오디 있어도 좋아려오디 내 마다 양자 나서 따라
de du de shine de
누디 신이 나오고 가라 누가시 너지 나봐 다카지 나마 다보다도 누라 다보다도 뭐 드디어서 내 두도 나오디 땅만 소지에서 내가 와 내가 땅에 대가 두디 쉬고 사는 거 맞지 그래서
Chỉ ra nên chemba de di chemba de nga gi du nyong wa la de do ma res.
뭐 또 그래서
Nga gi du nyong wa la de do ma ro. So middle way proponent, remembering the object possessor does not establish the self-cognizer. When the apprehender of blue experiences another object, blue, the remembrance of the object possessor will be generated in relation, that is, from the relationship between the object and the object possessor. I previously saw blue, just like the poison of a rat not being experienced at the time of lethargy, but remembered subsequently. Yeah, so mine only their assertions is if self-knower doesn't exist, then the memory consciousness that remember the object possessor will not be able to arise. If self-cognizer doesn't exist, then the memory consciousness that remembers the object possessor will not be able to arise. Nên 유진 di nyongwa le mi ki. Kasa 유진 di nyongwa le mi ki diang oma ba ge zo zo.
또 말이 간다더래 저기 노아서 가서 우리 시고로 와 어디 누구 시가 시리로 무리를 깔았다 무받 먹으면 두도 노요 말아
So middle way school, then they say that experience doesn't need to arise because object possessor doesn't arise from the experience. Object possessor doesn't yeah, so object possessor doesn't arise. Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically middle way say that remembrance doesn't arise from the experience, and experience here refer to self-knower. So remembrance doesn't arise from the experience, which refers to self-knower. Then the example is the poisons of a rat not being experienced at the time of lethargy. So lethargy here, another translation for this is at a time when is bitten. So the poisons of rat is not experienced at the time when one is bitten by the rat, but remember subsequently. So letter G here, it will be better to translate to bite or beat or bitten. So for example, during winter, although the rat injected the rat poison into the body, when it beat a person, then it injected the rat poison into the body, then the bite is experienced, but not the poison. So when a rat beat a person, then a rat also injected the rat poison into the body, but the person only experienced the bite, not he did not experience the poison. Then the injections of the poison occurring simultaneously with the bite is analogous to the experience of the object possessor existing simultaneously with the apprehended object. So basically, here it says that when a rat beat a person, then injected the poison simultaneously, then that happened during the winter. So the person experienced the pain when experienced the pain, but he did not experience the poison. So later, when he hears the sound of thunder, so then like when the season changed, and then when the season changed, then it become a summer. Then this person experienced the poison. So this this person experienced the poison, and then this person remembers that, oh, when I was the rat also injected the rat poison into my body when it beat me. So this remembrance or this memory consciousness arises in relation to the past experience. So that remembrance doesn't need to depend on the past experience. Past experience refers specifically to the past experience of poison, because when this person is bitten by a rat, then this person only experiences the pain, but not the poison. So later, when this person during summer, then he experienced the pain, then he remembers that, oh, then a memory consciousness arises. Then he remembers that when this rat beat me, then he also injected the rat poison. So therefore, this remembrance arises doesn't need to depend on past experience of poison. So the point that this analogy is trying to illustrate is, even though self-knower doesn't exist, but remembrance can occur, or remembrance can arise. So remembering the object possessor does not establish the self-cognizer. So when the apprehender of blue experiences another object, Yeah. Then another object, blue, the remembrance of the object possessor will be generated in relation. That is, from the relationship between the object and the object possessor. I previously saw this blue. So it means that an eye consciousness apprehending blue, yeah. So an eye consciousness apprehending blue, when it sees an object blue, then this person remembers that, oh, I previously saw this blue, and this remembrance of the object possessor happens because will be generated in the manner of relating the object with the object possessor. So this is how the apprehender of the remembrance of the object possessor is generated. So the remembrance of the object possessor is generated in dependence on the relationship between the object and the object possessor. That I previously saw this blue. So the point here is remembrance of the object possessor can be generated without depending on a self-knower. So the way it is generated is in dependence on the relationship between the object and the object possessor.
That's what Thomas Buddha did. The German can use that. This is normal.
That's all.
Means the German to
So today we don't have enough time for question and answer. If you have any, please ask in next class. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha Dharma, illustrated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and all the wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabshin Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May we meet the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche as soon as possible, and may all Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously without any obstacle. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace. May excellent happiness prevail throughout the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately.